Welcome to the Queer Witch Project, your resource for all things queer and witchy. I am Damona Peacock, a fabulous, non-binary, neurospicy, ordained queerdo with a fascination for all things cycles, symbolism, and patterns.
And I'm Moonkittee, your queer femme, poly kitchen witch, and proud geek. Today's topic is queer and pagan peacocking, also known as visibility. Yay!
Yay!
Woo! And you look fabulous. Speaking of
Visibility!
visible,
You think you're not gonna miss me with this mug?
no, it looks gorgeous. It looks
Um,
gorgeous. For those again
I just
of you who cannot see at the moment, Damona's hair has faded into this beautiful pastelly sunset with a gold into pinks and purples, and her makeup matches. It's just lovely.
I didn't even realize that my makeup matched my hair today.
It totally does.
It was just the right color inspo for this season and this perfect topic and occasion.
hmm So
And you are
what?
shiny and shimmery and beautiful as always.
Well, thank you. Thank you, thank you. So what do we mean when we say peacocking and queer peacocking specifically?
Peacocks like to look pretty and shake their butt. That's
I
pretty
like
much what
it.
it means. Pretty,
Shuffle those
look pretty
feathers.
and shake your butt. There is a courage in putting on the beauty, the
hmm
pretty, the whatever makes you feel good about yourself and, boosters your confidence, your self-esteem, um, and makes you feel attractive. It's not even always about how people receive you as
hmm
much as it's about how you feel
hmm
about yourself. But it's about dressing up and feeling good.
Being
I don't
loud
know,
and proud and visible.
right? That being loud and proud, which is something we do, at least once a year during
Yes,
Pride season.
if
But
not or more.
hopefully it's queer all year,
hmm
Pride all the time
Right.
in IMHO.
hmm
In my humble opinion, there may be some cacaing at your friends,
Oh, yeah, totally.
especially, not like cat calling, but like caca, caca. I peacock at my children all the time, and they peacock right back at me.
That's wonderful. I
It's a
meow.
look, it's an attitude, sense of self.
It's a sense of identity and recognition, I think, when we do that, whether it's the caca, the peacock, or the meowing, or whatever it is, it's the beautiful queer inside of me is recognizing the beautiful queer that is you.
It's that whole like, marching to the beat of your own drum
hmm
or your own unique drum beat. That's those spirits right there. They know
hmm
how to peacock.
And sometimes it's just about taking a risk. Fashion wise, I know, and I look at and watch like Fashion Week and watch some of these amazing, especially like I love watching older women who are in their like 70s and 80s who are just
Hmm.
taking fashion and just running with it. It's like saying, screw the idea that it's for younger people or for a specific body type or anything else, and just being their gloriously beautiful, fabulous selves. And I just want to walk up to that person on the street and say, you are amazing.
I will literally tell people, I will, if somebody visually impresses me, I will just easily give that compliment, even if it's awkward. It's not
hmm
even like on a flirtation thing.
Mm-mm.
It's just like you genuinely earned that.
Yes.
And I'm going to tell you that I know, I noticed. You're welcome.
hmm
But I know I have, magpie disorder.
hmm
Ooh,
Shiny.
shiny. Ooh,
Oh yeah.
shiny.
Oh shiny.
Girl brain. Shameless. I love it. I'm not mad about it.
Never.
I love beauty. And
hmm
not in a like superficial kind of way, but
No.
in a like appreciation for everything that feels and looks and experiences as beautiful in the world,
hmm
whether that be a sunset, a piece of art, or my face today.
Yes. No, it's real. Beauty is art, and art is so many different things that have its own kind of flair and style. And I agree that everyone deserves to feel pretty. Everyone deserves to feel like a work of art. And sometimes
I
we don't
agree.
when we want to. And then again, sometimes we just don't want to, and we want to be in the background, and that's totally cool. But sometimes it's nice to step out into the light and feel like you,
Noticeable
yeah,
feeling, yeah, like you're bringing your light into the world.
exactly. And you're sharing this aspect of who you are with others and being willing to share it.
And I want to say that it really does not matter what gender you
Mm-mm.
are
No.
or where you're at in your gender exploration. You deserve to feel good. You just
Hmm.
deserve to feel good about how you are, how you move through the world, who you identify as, and sometimes how you look.
Exactly. And you don't, I mean, so if you are hyper masculine and you don't think makeup is the thing for you, there's so many other ways that you can
Right.
express yourself and your style and everything else. And sometimes those beautiful people I see are ones who aren't necessarily makeuping, but they have just this energy and aura about them,
Yeah.
that their confidence is it's unshakable. And
Yeah.
that's a beautiful thing in itself too.
For me, one of the things that I find most beautiful in this world is people who know who they are and aren't
Yeah.
afraid to show it. And not, yeah, and I just did a wedding
Hmm.
and I was thinking one thing that this wedding made why it was one of my most favorite weddings I've ever done is because the bride and the groom and their entire little family just showed up 100% themselves. And it helps
Mm.
that I've known them for so long. But it's
Right.
just like pure authenticity, no airs, no pretending to be somebody they're not, perfection. I just find that to be one of the most beautiful things in the world is when you've gotten to that point where you just truly know who you are and you're not afraid to show it.
Hmm. I love it. So what are some other ways?
Me
We kind
too.
of touch on it, but what are some of the ways that we peacock?
Well, I put on some drag makeup. I mean, this is drag for me, like to
Hmm.
me. Like it's not just your normal like beauty counter makeup experience, but
Hmm.
for me, I'm the kind of person that if I'm going to paint my face, it's my favorite coloring book and I'm going to have fun with it and I love colors.
Hmm.
So, yeah, and I mean all drag really is a peacocking.
Oh yeah.
It's taking that, especially, I mean, it's subversive in the sense that often it's blurring gender lines or literally crossing gender roles to be like as an FU.
Hmm.
But drag is so inspirational because it's like I'm taking back my right to express and even create an illusion that may make some people uncomfortable, but it makes me feel good about myself and
Hmm.
makes the community feel good. And they're literally are saints and angels sometimes of the queer community
Yes,
in
absolutely.
very raunchy ways
And
sometimes.
not so raunchy ways. I love, there's a video that came
No.
through recently too, and I love seeing little kids at Pride look up at drag queens and just be in awe, and just drag queens reaching down, picking them up, continuing to dance and do their thing. It's the part of the show, and it's just, to me, that's the beauty, is there is a time and a place for everything with the raunchiness for the adults, but there's also such a place for drag and kids.
Yeah,
And
I
even
agree.
not, but not even just drag, which is definitely one part of it, but magic and whimsy,
Yeah.
fairy core, cottage core, walking, just
Yeah.
walking down like a witch in a pretty dress or a princess dress. That kind of
Yeah.
stuff is also peacocking in its own way, and
100% that.
it is being a different kind of authentic part of yourself, and just watching
Yeah.
the beauty in children's eyes just light up, going, wow, people can actually wear that, or I could actually wear that. It's that thing that I want to go back to the inner child and say, yes, you can be
Mm-hmm.
this, you can wander around in a princess dress if you want to, or you can be in a pirate garb. You don't necessarily just have to be at Ren Fair, though it's helpful sometimes having a time and place to go and do this too.
Yeah.
But if you want to wear cottagecore, if you want to be full drag, or you just want to do that to go to the grocery store, it's about making yourself feel good.
Yeah, and I always love the, not having to follow the trends, but like
Yes.
just doing your own thing.
Hmm.
We'd mentioned taking fashion risks, and
Yes.
I remember having a friend of mine who was transitioning being told not to mix prints, and I'm all like, wait a minute, wait a minute. It's not that you can't mix prints. You don't want them to clash. But
Right.
you can put some prints together in the same color family or telling a color story and make it look kind of cool. I've done it. I do it. I do
Hmm.
it kind of as a like, to break that rule
Hmm.
specifically. I will mix prints. Give
Hmm.
me that print rainbow and that print rainbow, and we will be fabulous at Pride.
Hmm. And sometimes clashing in and of itself is a rebellious act.
That's true. There's a whole band named The Clash, and they were punk, I'm pretty sure.
Hmm. Yes.
Hmm But yeah, no, for real. Yeah, it is peacocking in our own way.
Hmm.
Taking any, like, being told. So I was always fascinated by makeup trends, of course, going
Hmm.
back to the makeup. Not
Right.
that like I'm a like beauty expert or anything. I just like putting colors on my face. But I remember in the 80s there was, I was a child and there was
Hmm.
this trend of having colorful makeup on, Cyndi Lauper-esque, Boy George. But then like in the 90s it was all about like lip gloss and mascara and natural beauty.
Hmm.
And I was like, No, that's not, I'm not going to follow that trend. I'm just going to do my own thing because, again, if I'm going to bother putting on makeup, I'm going to like what I do.
Right.
And I like colors. There's also when we choose special attire, that is
Hmm.
a form of peacocking. Instead
Right.
of just your everyday normal, go to the gym or go to work attire that you're just attired of,
Hmm.
pun intended. But sometimes when as pagans we have particular ritual robes or Ren fair
Non-ritual
garb.
robes
Oh well, yes.
or non-robe rituals is what I meant to say. But yes,
The
no, I get what you're
nude.
saying. Yeah. Again,
You
there's
can peacock
there's
with your cock out.
yes, you can. There's ritual attire. There's, like I
Yeah.
said, Ren Fair attire. There's styles and such if you're going to an event that causes things. And there's also a big part of the queer community is the leather community as well. And there's a
Right.
whole lot of different, I don't want to say style,
Meaning.
but there's patches and pins and flagging
Yeah.
and a whole
Yeah.
language that's involved
Correct.
in
In
and
how you dress
exactly in how you dress. And
or
that's a form of
present.
peacocking.
It is, absolutely. And I love it so much. Also, the people who go all in
Hmm.
on pride outfits, like
Yes.
not necessarily rainbow capitalism, but like been collecting rainbows for years and then they
Hmm.
all go on in one outfit, sort of thing.
Right.
Yes, give it to me.
I want to see it all. Even if you don't want to go full out and maybe you are going to work on a daily basis or you're going out in public and you're not feeling like being full peacock, there's still other ways that you can subtly do that with hair. Hair
Oh yeah,
being something that has been stylistically and trending for since we've
decades.
ever had it, yeah, centuries, millennia. I mean, think of the Romans and the curls and all the elaborate hairstyles and such. It's all a matter of different ways that you can do that, and that can also be a form of expression. And peacocking being that form of expression, whether it's colored hair or braided
Can I just
hair.
say that I love that mullets are coming back into style because it's this whole thing where it is so atrocious in and of itself, but when something is so bad, sometimes it can become good again. There
I
are
no,
people
I
out there rocking mullets.
there are people there are people out there rocking mullets, and I fully admit that that's the one hairstyle trend that I appreciate it on people who have more power to you for doing it, but I just don't. It
Business in the front, party in the back.
it just looks and feels weird to me. That's
Yup.
my own. But again,
It's
I
the
am not one
subversiveness.
to yuck someone else's yum or to because I have my own flavor and brand of weirdness, so I'm not meaning that in a derogatory way in any way, shape, or form. But mullets is fashion. It's like, yes, I appreciate this is where we can say we can appreciate the ability to peacock and peacock in your own way without
Yeah.
having any desire to do something the same as well. Sometimes you have that desire to want to be that, and sometimes you have the desire just going, that's cool, not for me. Thank you very much.
But if my kids said they wanted a mullet, I'd be like, all right, let's do it.
Hmm.
I would. I
I know
would.
you would.
Especially the one with the curly hair.
Yes, that would
I
be
love the
cute.
curly hair mullets, right?
Curly haired mullets are a little
Um,
bit cuter, yes.
but also like for us, I do feel like not everybody who colors their hair outside of the, normal
Hmm.
accepted natural colors, um, are not all of them are queer, but it's so often that they are
Hmm.
at least allies.
Yes.
It's just for me, it's one of those I do it because it's one of those things that these are literally just proteins that grow out of my head. Life isn't that serious. Lighten up a
Right.
bit. I do recognize my privilege in that the things that I do in life allows me to have my creative self-expression in my hair,
Hmm.
and that my hair hasn't all fallen out yet. That could happen one of these days, who knows? But I do because I just don't take things or life in general too terribly seriously, and I feel like we need lightheartedness in a world like
Hmm.
this that is already serious enough. I always feel safe with other people who are kind of visibly peacocking or parroting or, have their pretty feathers out. And I'm just
Hmm.
like, oh yeah, you're not going to judge me. But I
Yeah.
also have had people will
Hmm.
give you looks or mumbles or whatever. And I literally tell myself, I like the quote from one of our favorite drag queens, water off a duck's back, Jinx
Hmm.
Monsoon, water
Yes.
off a duck's back.
Water
But
off a
what I
duck's
tell
back.
myself, whatever you think of me says more about you than it
Hmm.
does me.
Yes. And I think that's why we're talking about it. That's the significance of it. So it's why do we call it being visibly queer? And I think that goes back to what you were just saying. It's identification, but it's connection.
Right, right. And, when you're out in the wild or the
Hmm.
overculture or whatever you want to call it, it's not always safe for us.
Hmm.
So much of us, of people like me in different ways, learned to mask and, try not to stand out too much because you don't want to draw attention to yourself and be bullied. I've always out in the wild when I see people with the fun colors or the, punk attire
Hmm.
or goth or any kind of subversive type cultural expression, I'm like, I'm safe with that person.
Hmm.
I know that if something were to happen, I would have their back or they would have mine.
Hmm.
It's community.
And it's instant connection to community. Not saying again, like every community, there are bad apples in it, but for the most
Right.
part, if I'm out and about and I feel uncomfortable, I would absolutely be more comfortable walking up to a group of colored haired people who are clearly having a good time and saying, "Hey, can I join you for a little bit? I'm feeling unsafe or I'm feeling someplace else."
Yeah.
And I have no doubt without a question that you'd be welcomed in.
Or visibly queer in any kind of way.
Yes.
Yeah. So also it's kind of a sign of rebellion.
Hmm.
um as a queer person and as a witch, we've talked about this a lot of times. It's almost in and of itself a rebellion. Like in the United States, it's not the accepted norm that I was raised in.
Hmm.
I was taught compulsive heteronormativity and fitting in.
Hmm.
It's a rebellion.
Yes, it's its own act of rebellion. It's funny. It's one of those things that I keep thinking of. Once upon a time, when we were growing up in the heteronormative world, it's like I said, if you were a lost child, it was always go find a policeman or a fire person or someone who looks like they're in charge. And I love
Or
seeing the
somebody who
trend.
works at the shopping center that you got lost at.
Right. And now the trend is, hey, if you're out in the wild and you're lost, you know what? Go look for the goth girl. Go look for the
Mm-hmm.
girl with colored hair or something else
Mm-hmm.
like that because they're the most likely to help you find what you need. And I love seeing those TikTok trends and I love seeing stories and hearing stories of that where it is this idea of there is an inherent safeness that comes with being able to be visibly out and queer and peacocking.
There's also this whole idea of kind of being a role model to
Hmm.
people who were told that they can't express themselves like that, and
Yes.
therefore they don't. Um, and so they're still in the process of learning that they can despite what they've been told.
Hmm.
So if I permit myself to be myself in turn, I permit you to be yourself. So,
Stepping into that authenticity.
exactly. If nothing else, I would love to just continue to inspire that.
Mhm. And taking up space, being
Right?
allowed to take up space
Yeah.
in that, like you said, the same thing with being a role model, I think comes with that ability to take up space, meaning that everyone has the ability and the right, or should have the right, to be seen for who they are,
Yeah.
not what someone else is expecting them to be, but who they are authentically,
Yeah.
their identity respected in however they're presenting it at that given day.
Yep. And quit dismissing it as it's just a phase, because you know what? Sometimes it's not a phase.
Mm-mm.
And other times, even if it is a phase, just let it be what it is.
Right.
Let me go through my phases
Exactly. So you might have a goth phase, you might have a fairy phase, you might have a dark
or a
phase, you might have
butterfly.
a preppy phase. And the thing is, all of it is about figuring out who you are
Yep.
and trying things on. It's like
And who you're
trying on
not.
clothes and who you're not. And once you figure it out, you settle into something, and then and then you're just proud of being who you are and what it is.
Yeah.
And it's not saying what you're going through that phase, you're not, that's not who you are. It's who you're exploring, it's who you're learning
Yeah.
to be, and all of the things combine on each other
Yeah.
to create this amazingly beautiful human that you become.
So those are really a lot of external examples of why
Hmm.
we peacock or why we engage in being visibly queer. But like, how are ways that it makes you feel internally when you're peacocking?
Courageous. I mean, it's like you said, it's an active rebellion. So it's scary, and sometimes it's nerve-wracking, and sometimes it's a little bit of pride, in different ways. There's so many different kinds of emotions that are tied into it, but it's really about how it makes you feel. When I step out fully peacocked, it's like, hey, this
Yeah.
is who I am. Look at me. I am gorgeous. And I want to share this beauty with others, but also in doing so, I want to recognize the beauty in everything else.
Yes. The beauty in me sees the beauty in you.
Yes. And
I just love feeling like I'm enlivening the very magic,
mhm,
whimsy spirit. To me, colors are bringing light into this world, into a
mhm,
gray or black and white. I grew up around people who thought in very black and white terms, and so I'm just the one that embraces all of the colors in between, and
mhm.
it just feel like it's like bringing a light into the world, shining yourself into the world.
It's powerful.
Yes, it is. It's authentic,
Hmm.
and it is a power. It's kind of a magic in and of itself.
Oh
It's a
yeah.
glamour. There's a
Yes.
glamour to it. I hide it so well that not they very rarely believe it. But let me just say that for so many years in elementary school, I didn't talk to people. Like I could
Hmm.
talk, I just didn't talk to people because I
Hmm.
was so debilitatingly shy. And I have managed so much social anxiety
Hmm.
by putting on a face and spending an hour or two preparing to go out into the world mentally gets me to that point where I'm masking enough to get some stuff done. And
Hmm.
I wish that I never had to mask sometimes. And I've certainly unmasked a lot more as I've aged, but
Hmm.
there are still times where you've got to put a face on and go out into the world. I just am very picky about which world I go out into and what kind of face I put on.
Right. That's fair. And that's real.
Yep.
No, I get it. I totally do. And I also struggle with social awkwardness in a lot of
Yeah.
situations and such. So when I am more peacocked out, I tend to be more willing, or at least willing to accept conversation, because even if I can't start it, there's usually someone who is willing to do so, and then I'm able to engage. But otherwise, I feel
Hmm.
it's getting over that kind of social awkwardness. But at the same time, it's that authentic,
Moving into your badass,
yeah,
that
a little
badass part of
bit.
yourself where you just like you're in power, the power in you just
Mm-mm.
doesn't give a shit.
No, and that power is contagious. It's like we talked about it. It's more authentic, and I'm sorry. There's nothing more heartwarming and soul fulfilling than having a child come up to you and look at you and go, "You're beautiful."
Or I love your hair.
Yes, or I
Yeah,
love your
I know.
dress or something
The
else. And
most
even
genuine,
yeah,
sweet compliments.
in general, and adults too. I think we forget about that. Love getting them from children, but I love just walking up to someone else on the street and going, "Oh my God, I love your shoes," or "Your
Yes.
makeup looks fabulous,"
Make
or
them feel good about themselves or their
exactly.
choices for the day. I love that. Some people struggle to receive compliments. They don't,
Hmm.
or they don't want to be perceived because they've been criticized. Believe I've been through that, believe it.
Hmm.
But, been criticized their whole lives and they don't want to be noticed. But there's like this grace
Hmm.
in just being seen
Hmm.
and from like this human to human perspective. Um, and yeah, just being noticed in a healthy, loving, sweet, non-strings attached, but I admire you and respect your humanity kind of way. It's grace. That's grace in the world.
I do want to PSA there are ways to give compliments that aren't creepy
Right.
and to people. And that's the thing is as female presenting, as femme identified, we tend to get a lot of creepy comments from heteronormative masculine type folk. And the thing is, yes, they tell me, don't tell me that I look beautiful or I have a sexy body, because those aren't things within my control. But you tell me that you love the way you love my hair color, or you love my shoes, or that shirt is amazing, or something like that. Something that I have control over, something that I did, that I put on my body to make myself
Right.
appear out there. Those kinds of things are genuine comments, not, oh my God, you're so sexy, honey. It's like, that's
Right.
subjective. And I'm not making myself sexy for you, but I appreciate
Hmm.
when someone says, oh my God, your lipstick is amazing, or something like that, because then it's showing
Right.
that
An
you're
appreciation for your
recognizing,
sense of fashion or your sense of
yes,
peacocking, and it's genuine because it's like not copy and pasta to everybody else.
right.
The same compliment
And there's
that
no
you're
strings really attached to it other than tell me what that lip color is and where'd you got it, where'd you get it, kind of thing, or something like that, which may be a kind of thing, but there's less about it feels more like a genuine compliment. It means it's something that you're complimenting, something that they have control over, they clearly took
I
time
like
on,
that.
versus something that might get back to me. It's like, oh, if I tell
Hmm.
you you're sexy, then you might want me. Guy brain logic, I don't know, but it's a different kind of thing when you're talking about compliments. And I know I totally went off on tangent there, but it's
Compliment tangent.
but
That's
with
okay.
that, it's empowering. It is empowering when you get those compliments, because it gives you that kind of feedback sometimes that you may need when you are, like you said, in that masking stage, to be able to step out of masking and into authentic.
Yeah. And we all need some healthy ego boosts.
Oh yeah.
I mean, the ego is not our enemy.
Mm-mm.
In fact, it's pretty healthy to make friends with it and take good care of it. We all need to feel good about ourselves. And I like being around people that both feel good about themselves
Hmm.
and enjoy helping others feel good about themselves. That's
Yes.
definitely my cup of tea for people.
And I know we're technically out of Pride Month at this point in time, but like you said, Pride all year. We are queer all year,
Exactly.
pride all year. You can be just as visibly peacocking in July and August and September as you can in June. And I want
Hmm.
people to remember that it's not just about the one time, it's about being who you are all year round.
Self-acceptance is important.
Hmm.
Empowering your self-love, it's important. It's okay to put time and energy into that.
Absolutely.
And look, if you get noticed and that makes you uncomfortable, water off a duck's back.
Hmm.
You know, honestly, eventually you kind of get used to it. It stops being triggering.
Hmm.
And it is, like you said, it makes you approachable in some ways. People will
Hmm.
start conversations with you about it, about your beautiful peacocking, however you choose to do it.
Hmm.
It's an icebreaker. And the more you do it, the more comfortable you'll get at it.
And the more rebellion you show, and the more authentic
Yes.
you become, and the more you are
Yes.
able to open yourself to more community, and the
Gimme.
better the world gets.
I agree. Yes. One bit of love at a time.
Yes. So peacock, caca.
Yeah, I totally encourage everybody who's listening to think about it.
Hmm.
How can you peacock for the rest of the day or tomorrow, or what outfit would you plan for a special occasion that's in the spirit of invoking your inner peacock?
And then maybe take that special occasion and say, hey, I'm going to wear it to the farmer's market.
Yep. It don't matter. No
It
matter
don't
where you're
matter.
going. What
Nope.
matters is how you feel.
Absolutely. Did we miss anything
I
in
don't think so.
our
I think that pretty
wonderful?
much covers, all of our ideas that we've come up with so far around peacocking. But if anybody else has ideas or input or comments, questions, I mean, I love reading comments and questions or emails about any of our topics. But yeah, talk to me about, send us photos, email us photos of your peacocking. I want to see
Yeah,
how
I would
fabulous
love
it is.
to hear in the comments how you like to peacock.
Yes. How do you
Please.
peacock?
How do
Peacock,
you
peacock,
peacock?
peacock, 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 peacock. Thank you for listening to the Queer Witch Project. If you like what you heard, you could give us some thumbs up, subscriptions, like, follow, 5 stars. You know, anything, any of those clicks help us out a lot. Gives us more visibility.
And if there is a topic you'd like to know more about or an episode that you would like to suggest, please contact us at thequeerwitchproject@gmail.com or find us on YouTube, TikTok, and Instagram with the handle at Queer Witch Project. We upload every other week. And remember, queerness is a key to magic.
Be yourself and love rebelliously, or look rebellious too.
That works too. Bye!